Well, welcome back to the Product Biz Podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, Miss Theresa from Farm Girl Candle Company. And she is here today because we run this really amazing award process in the mastermind and also in regular Product Biz Academy, which is called the Breakthrough of the Year. So this is where, in Teresa's instance, all members of the PBA mastermind shared their breakthrough for the 2025 year, and the entire PBA community got to vote on who they were most inspired by in their videos. And we had 13 mastermind members, 9 video submissions, and Theresa was voted our winner. So one of the perks that she gets of winning is this opportunity to share her story more fully because she obviously inspired so many people with her 2025 year and how she shifted and how she grew. So now it's our time to dive in and hear more from Theresa. So congratulations, Theresa, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to start with the basics. Tell us what your business is, what you make, and I'm going to pick and probe based on what you say, and we'll go from
Okay. I am Theresa Davis, a Farm Girl Candle Company. I am based in Monroe, Washington, in the Pacific Northwest. I make soy candles. And I started business in 2020 as I didn't start a business. I really just started candles for myself due to autoimmune issues, and I wanted a more non-toxic item in my home. And I could see where other things were affecting myself and my pets. And I fell in love instantly with making candles. And I just said, wow, I need to do more of this. And I just kept pouring and pouring. And there was something inside of me that just wanted to take it further and learn how to, all the ins and outs of it, and making a safe product. And before I knew it, I was in business. That's really the short version.
now. Tell us when you were in business, what did business look like for you? Like once you're like, okay, I love making candles. I want to share this with more people. What did you do next?
Um, well, it was interesting because I started right before COVID hit. And so I was making and making and making and burning and burning. And my friends kept saying, hey, you need to sell those. You need to sell those. And I'm like, whatever. I've got a full-time career. I'm good. I'm not cut out to be a small business owner. It just never even occurred to me. And the more I went making stuff, it was actually my husband. He's like, what are you doing with all this stuff? And I said, I'm just really enjoying it. And he says, well, maybe you should sell them. And I'm like, no, I don't have time for that. That's for people who don't have full-time jobs. Then they can run their small businesses, not for people with full-time careers. But it was kind of nestled in the back of my mind. And there was a little voice back there that said, you could do this. You might like it. You might enjoy it. And then COVID hit, and then I was an essential employee, so I was going to work, and it was just a weird time. And working for government, so there's different mandates. Couldn't see my coworkers, couldn't mix. There was only 2 of us on deck at a time, and had to work by yourself, and yeah, that's fine. It was fine, but all of a sudden nobody could go anywhere, and everybody's like, I want candles, I want candles, I want candles. And so I made sure that they were safe. I made sure I tested. I took my time with it, and I just kind of, okay, well, there's not much going on. I have time to focus on making these safe and making sure that these are correct. And so I did that. And then about, I would say, Mother's Day, maybe a little bit before that, my favorite coffee stand, which was still open because the coffee stands were open here. The owner said, hey, I want a label on those. I want a wholesale deal, and we'll put them on the windowsill and see what happens. And I'm like, oh, and I had to ask her, how do you wholesale? Because I didn't know. And so she gave me a few pointers, and I got on YouTube, and lo and behold, I watched a video of a local candle maker, and he had all these different videos. Wholesaling was one of them. And so did it, got the label, got it on there, and we sold tons of them. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm a small business owner. I'm a candle maker. And the feeling inside of, wow, look at you. and how much fun it was to realize that my candles were in people's houses. That was the big thing. I'm like, people want my candle in their house burning. That was such a weird feeling for me. I really loved it.
That's amazing. Now tell me, when you were selling right when COVID hit, was it primarily word of mouth? Was it families and friends, and then they would either like pick it up safely or you would ship it or whatever, or were you selling online in any other capacity?
I was not selling online. I was strictly word of mouth, and they were literally coming up to the porch, to the house, and wholesale through the coffee stand. I was so excited about one coffee stand that I thought, well, what if I'm at two of them? And so I remember asking her permission to go to other coffee stands. And she's like, girlfriend, you're the small business owner. You go where you want. And I'm like, okay, I just didn't want to make you mad or anything. She's like, no, I'm a small business owner too. I get it. Go do it. So I went and got 3 or 4 more coffee stands right off the bat. So my start is in coffee stands at wholesale, and where people can pick them up off the windowsill.
Mhm.
And I did that. I had a couple of open houses during COVID where people actually came up to the house, and I opened my little tiny little studio because it was a little tiny little room back then. And I couldn't believe the amount of people that showed up. We looked like a car lot up here. And my husband had to come out and direct parking. It was insane. And that's when I knew I was onto something. I'm like, okay, I just opened up my studio. I just made $6,000 in one day. $6,000 in cash right before Mother's Day during COVID, masks and all. And I'm like, okay, I'm going. And I took that money. I went and got insurance, and I went and got a lawyer and did my LLC right away.
Beautiful.
And then I thought about selling online. And
Mhm.
I did that. I did the online thing in 2021. I bought a website through a web builder here in town, and it ends up being my biggest mistake.
Mm.
So I don't know if we want to talk about that now or later, but
Okay.
it's one of the learning lessons, and I don't recommend it.
Yeah, we'll get there because I know the story. So we're going to weave into there.
But
But
I did
before we
that.
get
Yeah,
there, tell me,
yeah.
so you got your website. How were things going? And then you also started to sell at markets. Is that right? Once markets started to open up in that year.
Yes.
Tell us
So
about that.
yes. So I knew, and I told myself, okay, this is great. COVID's great. But the big test comes when things start opening up again. You may not be the greatest thing on the block, and you're going to have to do some work. And so when stores are open, that's a whole different ball game. So I kind of had myself prepped for that. I guess, I don't know, maybe because I'm older and I've been around the block a few times, I thought, no, you just there's going to be some work involved, and sure enough there was. And I went from getting a website. I started markets. I didn't want to do markets originally, and I didn't start markets until 2022. And that's when I realized, okay, the website's here, it's not working like I thought I would. I fell victim to the build it and they will come, because that's what they sold me, and that didn't work. So I'm like, okay. And so I thought, well, I'll do some markets, and I got a real learning lesson in markets because there were a lot of candle makers at that time, hard to get in. I was like, wow. So it was very humbling. I was like, okay. So I did a couple more shows for myself, and I had people come. I had some repeat customers, but nothing like a real show would be, and nothing like it was in COVID. So I thought, okay, let's just do some markets. So I did a couple markets in 2022 and did okay. 2023 was better. I had a great market year, and that's the year that I made some good money.
Good. Now then, what shifted after that? Because tell me why things shifted, when things shifted, and your decision to join PBA. Because I believe you joined in January of 2025. Is that
I
right?
actually joined in 2024.
Okay,
It's
in
the
January
October.
of 20, okay, October. Okay, okay.
October.
I knew it was close
Yeah,
to the 2025.
yeah.
So tell me what happened. You had a really good market season. Then what happened and what led you to sign up for PBA?
2023 was a great year. 2024 started, and I thought, okay, well, markets are great, but they're a lot of work, and they're a lot of weight, a lot of setup, a lot of everything. And I thought, So I kept going with the online thing and the website thing. I kept busting through and trying to get that. And then it was coming to terms with, okay, I have my social media, but I'm not really good at it. I hadn't done any email. I hadn't done any of that. And it was the reality of running a business was getting to me, the little ins and outs in the organization. And the main thing, and this will relate to people that are my age or close to it, the really, I have to be honest, 2023 and 24 came, menopause hit really, really like bam, bam. The real thing is here. We're going through it. And what came out of that was a lot of physical pain and ADHD diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I knew I was different and I knew I had things that I needed to do. ADHD in late 2023 and 24 was so bad. And I'm like, oh my God. And not only can I not run a business, I can't do my regular job. I cannot clean my house. It was a disaster. I was really, really hit sideways by that. I did not know what I was going to do. And I went to, it was a mess. And I went to my doctor in tears, to my naturopath who'd been treating me for my autoimmune issues for years. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And he says, that's menopause. And that's what we do. So I went on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and it literally saved my life. And I saw some physical pain relief. I saw a lot of hormonal relief, and the fog lifted. And I thought, okay, I still have ADHD and I have it really bad, but I can kind of see my way out of here if I have help. And so I promised myself, if I can find some way of learning so I'm not so overwhelmed by everything that you have to do to be a small business owner online these days. I'm in that generation that's older and kind of missed that boat. And so it doesn't come as easy to us as it does to you younger folks. And it goes against everything that the conditioning that we had. You don't put yourself in front of a camera. You don't talk about yourself. You don't talk about what you do. You don't do that, And so I'm like, well, I need some help. And that I actually had started looking at many different coaches, and my feed was just bombarded with online sales coaching and all this stuff. And I'd watch their little spiel. I'm like, no. And there was something about yours that came through. And what got me was your face and the hot pink. I thought, okay, she's got hot pink. Let's see okay, it's loud, it's bold. Let's see what's going on. And when I went through your presentation, when it was 4 hours long, I knew less than an hour, that I had to find a way to do this. Number one, there's my answer. It isn't YouTube videos. This is the answer right here. And I had tried many things. I'd spent some money, and I was kind of disillusioned. I thought, nope, this gal is a no bullshit gal. She's going to call me. She's going to call me on my BS. She's going to be good. And just how you laid out the foundations, which was what I was looking for. I'm like, I have the foundations. Not everybody thinks to do an LLC right off the bat. I did. Insurance, that kind of thing. I knew I had the smarts. I just needed the help with the stuff that I just truly couldn't align with, like the social media, the Etsy, the fair, that kind of thing. And so when you laid out the modules and the foundations, I'm like, I got to do this. And you weren't done yet. And I was signed up. I was like, let's do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Basically, yeah, I finished up my markets for 2024. I had 2 left. It felt really wrong to do them, but it felt wrong to cancel. So I honored my obligations and I went through them. And I remember they were okay. But the economy and just my whole emotional state. I didn't want to be there, and it showed. And I was happy to see my customers, but I kept telling myself, you don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to do this anymore. She's going to show you how to do this without doing markets. And I remember sitting at my last one going, you know what? I'm never going to set this up again.
And
I'm never,
has that stayed true?
yes.
Yeah, which is what,
Yeah.
2024, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So 2025, I did not have any markets at all.
Hmm.
Yeah, so 2024 was October of 2024, and yes, the rest is history. There's in my world, in my mind, there is business before PBA, and there's business after PBA.
I love that. Well,
Mhm.
okay, so let's talk about it after PBA, because I know one of the biggest things that you did is the rebrand from being part of PBA. So you
Yeah.
did that as one of the bonuses that we offer, and then you went and continued on to work with Kendra and her business to fully rebrand the labels and everything. So I'm going to ask you your experience on that, but before you do, what I want to mention really quick, just the logistics of it, so the person listening right now knows, but when you do enroll in Product Biz Academy, you can get a free rebrand. So you work with Kendra, who's on our the Monica Little Coaching Design team, and she will redo and create a custom logo, custom fonts, custom color palette, custom brand vibe that then allows you to truly stand out online. Now, that's one thing that you get inside PBA, and what Theresa did afterwards is continue to work with Kendra through Kendra's own design business, which she does have, to fully redo her labels and bring that brand to life. So tell me about that entire experience.
I told myself when I joined PBA that 2025 was going to be the year that I needed to prepare myself to sacrifice, to get everything done and take whatever money I had and put towards a rebrand. When you talked about the rebrand, I thought, well, that's cool. And then when I got it back, I'm like, okay, this is, you have to rebrand. You are an idiot if you do not rebrand because this is gorgeous. And you have to get rid of whatever you made up. You have to detach from that and just realize that you need the pros. And you do a wonderful job. I don't think people realize it at first how good of a job you do bringing the professionals into your world so that they are accessible, and you do an even better job of helping us break up from what we built. Even though it's good and it gets you by, um, you have to step aside from that. And I remember one of the calls or something, and I don't remember what you said, but I was like, holy shit, I she's so right. And I was like, ouch. I think it was the one where something about the difference between a small business and a hobby. I was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. Okay, well, all right. So I sat with that and I thought you have to rebrand. So even if you don't make any money in 2025, you need to put all your extra money towards a rebrand. And so I did that. And Kendra is absolutely amazing. And she does it in a way that makes you understand that you help design it as well. So you don't just sit back and she says, okay, here it is. You have your say in there. You have what you like, what you don't like, but she will gently steer you towards what's professional. And I went to it with a very open mind. I just said, you know what? I'm going to be open. I'm going to, this is who I am. Let's see what you come up with and let's see how I like it. I totally divorced what I had come up with. I thought, if you're going to divorce it, go all the way. So I did. I split up with it and was very open. I did not think if you were to tell me in 2024 that I would have had all this color in my brand, I would have told you were insane. I was used to the craft paper brown. I was used to farm and rustic and rusty. I'm like, what? Shades of pink, green? Are you kidding me? And I just couldn't see past brown. And so it was amazing. The biggest thing I did um, that I know is expensive to a lot of people and they don't think it's very important is I did her strategy call. And that strategy call is really, really important because you have an hour with her and you basically say I'm either ready for this or I'm not ready for this. And you basically have to commit to yourself of, hey, I'm going to go full rebrand, or I'm just going to stick with the freebie and do the work myself and figure it out and make my own labels. And I just thought, you know what, I have these professionals at my fingertips. I'm going to make the budget work. I'm going to make it happen. And that's what I did. And I'm so glad I did. There were stressful times. There were some stressful moments where it's like, wow, okay, I got this. But it was so worth it. And I honestly, I can't even remember really what business was like before that rebrand, before August of 2025, when all the labels added up and everything got made. It's hard for me to remember what life was like before then, because it's been so different after that.
Now, can you describe your labels a little bit to us, to the people who can't visually see them? Because you mentioned before it was rustic, it was brown craft paper. Now,
Yes.
what do your labels entail?
I wish I had them right in front of me too. My labels were very square, rustic, typewriter font, brown craft paper, and I did it myself on Avery. I had a printer. After I did it myself because I couldn't figure out how to do it online. I couldn't figure out how to do a proof and get it. It just wouldn't line up. So I just said, screw it, and just got a printer and just the easiest way possible. I just did it, and it worked. It doubled my sales from my little homemade label. But now the label is a wraparound label. It is colorful. It has an illustration on the front. And Kendra designed it so that different scents, I'm doing different things. So Cashmere Plum, for example, has me wrapped up in a blanket, sitting in a rocking chair outside the barn. Blackberry Magnolia has me with a basket picking blackberries on a bush. So she brought in illustrations, which I never would have thought I would have liked any illustration. It was so foreign to me. And when I saw her label mock up, I cried when I saw it because I was like, wow, I can't believe this. And the label wraps around the candle, and one side of it has all the warning stuff that we have to have and the weights and stuff like that. And then the other side has the scent notes. It has the scent notes so that people can read it and know what they're getting into. And it also has a little tag phrase, if you will. So yeah, like Cashmere Plum will say, like wrapping up in a blanket on a chilly fall night, that kind of thing. So it sets the tone for the candle. And it's stuff that I knew I needed, but it's stuff that I didn't want to do. And I didn't want to do scent notes. I just thought, if you like my candle, buy it. If you don't, then don't. I don't care. So I didn't want to mess with that stuff. But having her do that, I was like, oh wow, this looks like it's made like somebody made this in a studio. It doesn't look like my kitchen. And so that was a real wake up call. Seeing those labels is like, oh wow, okay. And it makes you step up. You have to step up mentally. It's like, okay, I've got these labels. Now I got to live up to them. Now you got to live up to it, because this isn't just a part-time thing. Oh, whatever. No, if you're going to invest this kind of money into this, you need to go all in. You're done messing around with this. You are sacrificing your free time. You are doing this. You are making this go. And that was so exciting to me. It was a challenge. I knew I could do it. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew there was going to be times where I was like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. But I thought, what else am I doing? What else am I doing? This is great. And I'm so in love with my brand. I've always been proud of myself. I've always been proud of what I've accomplished, but now it's like, I am a small business owner. I am a small business owner. I am a CEO. I'm not just wearing the necklace. My God, I am one. What now? What else are we going to do?
Yes, absolutely. And that's something that I truly believe is your branding will evolve in different phases of your business.
Yes.
We all start with most of us start with the DIY branding, and that's great. That
Yeah.
will work.
Oh,
That
you have.
will hold us over. Yes. But then there's going to be a certain extent where things start to plateau. And then it's like, okay, your branding has to evolve as your business evolves.
Mhm.
So you laid that incredible upgrade, that new foundation, which was so amazing to see. And then when we talk about 2025, you came to PBA Live in March, our in-person event for PBA members. And then you had the opportunity to enroll in the PBA Mastermind. So, PBA in total is a group of 300 small business owners, and the PBA Mastermind in 2025 was a group of 13 small business owners. So, the main difference maker with the Mastermind is much smaller group, more touch points. You really get to know the people in the Mastermind with you, and you really get to grow together. So, take us back to that moment where when you heard about the Mastermind, you were deciding if to join, what was going through your head and what led you to that decision?
It was really amazing because I was fresh off PBA Live, which for anyone that knows me, I just don't jump on a plane and go anywhere to see anybody. So I'm a real private person. So for me to tell my husband, hey, I'm going to PBA Live, I'm going to meet people I'd never met, and I'm going to be there for 3 days during the week. Peace out. I'm going. And it was life changing. And I was on such a high coming back from that I came home and I was in my office here. And I remember putting myself on camera because that was a big thing that we talked about during that time. And I hadn't really made reels where I was talking into the camera much. And so I thought, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a talking head video. And so I did that. And I was talking all about it, how excited I was. And I was just amazed. And I was sitting here and I had all my kind of notes and I was trying to make cohesiveness of what I wanted to work on next. And I was going through my email and that email came through because it was like the next day after we came home. And I went, oh my God. And then I thought, oh, well, I didn't think that this was opening for a while, because I remember telling you my goal was to try and get smart enough to join the mastermind. And I thought, here's my opportunity. Wow, okay, we're still in the middle of all this rebrand and all this labels, and I did not hesitate. I just went, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And I remember going into the house because I needed to tell my husband what I had signed up for, and I needed lunch and stuff. So I was just going in there and I was terrified. And I was so proud of myself and so happy. And anyone who's been through grief will understand sometimes it takes a long time before you feel those moments where you're truly happy, where your things aren't tinged with grief. And it's just one of those weird moments. I remember going inside and feeling this peace that I had not felt since my mom had passed. And my mom's been gone for 15 years. And I'm a happy person. I have a beautiful, blessed life. My life is good. But there was just something about the peace that I felt. I could hear my mom going, that's my girl. Yeah, you do that. You belong with you. Get in there and go. And I was absolutely on cloud nine. I was absolutely freaking terrified. And I thought, no, this is the biggest level up in the world.
So
You
why were
want
you
to level up,
terrified?
it's the level up. I was terrified because I knew that some of the girls in there, some of the ladies in there were far more ahead of me. I knew like ladies like Daisy who had already established and had six figures and had been in there a couple of years. I thought, whew, I'm coming in here pretty cold compared to some of these ladies. And I didn't know who all was in it, but I knew Daisy was. And Daisy was kind of my benchmark of like, wow, she's light years. She was my inspiration. And when I first joined PB, I was like, oh my gosh, her and Whitney and Kelly, I'm like, look at these gals. And so I was terrified. I'm like, I'm going to be in this Zoom meeting. And what if I don't know how many people are there. And what if they're all like Daisy and then there's just me. And I thought, you have to do it. You have to do it. And
Mhm.
it was the single best decision, even more than joining PBA, which I love PBA and it's kept me very structured and I love it. The mastermind is everything.
Okay, tell us more.
Everything. The
Tell us,
master,
like, is it the community?
yeah,
I mean, we had our mastermind in-person event, which was much smaller. It was about 11 of us, 10 of us there. So tell us more
yeah.
about what was so impactful for you.
What has been so impactful about Mastermind for me is the ladies that are far ahead of you. It doesn't matter. Number one, they don't act like it. Number two, they are very welcoming. They're very kind. They're very much your cheerleader of, hey, you'll get here. You'll get here. You're doing good. You're doing great. These ladies have already been through the rebrand. They've already had their labels. And so when I got my labels, everybody was excited. Everybody's like, no, that's great. That's fantastic. Go, 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 go. And that community is absolutely amazing. And it's nice to have a smaller group where you know what everyone's working on. So I know that group of 13 women, half of them are doing Facebook ads. There's a couple that are focusing on Etsy. There's a couple that are focusing on Fair. And I'm doing a little bit of everything at any given time because that's how my brain works. So I'm like, okay, I have this person to look for Facebook ads. I have this person to follow on their Etsy. And you can take the time. They're all teachers. I would call every one of them a teacher. But you don't realize that when you get in there, you just don't realize what you're going to see. But what it has turned out for me is I have different teachers for different things. And then I can put my own spin on it. And now I'm understanding how the community works. I've not been part of the community. I didn't play sports growing up. I had a family. I was raised in a family that stayed home and didn't do much and didn't have, I've never had a great big circle of friends or anything like that. And so it was wild to me to be part of a community that levels up and brings everybody with. Everybody's there together, rising up at the same time, if that makes any sense. They're different levels, but everyone's a big group and we're all just rising, rising, rising.
Yeah. Now tell us about the Mastermind in-person event because in March of 2025, you came to PBA Live, which is all PBA members. We had about 50 people, Scottsdale, Arizona. And then if you're part of the Mastermind, we do another 2-day event. This was in October of 2025, just for Mastermind members only. So there was 11 of us. We all shared an Airbnb. We had 2 days of reflection and brainstorming. So just talk through what that experience was like.
It was so emotional and fulfilling. I felt this way in March too, where people are kind of in the same boat. People have the same worries, people have the same fears. And that was a breakthrough. Mastermind was even more of a breakthrough because there's less of us. The stakes are a little bit higher because you're dealing with more revenue and more decision making. Like now some of these ladies are living and breathing these businesses 24/7. This isn't a part-time thing. This is their life, and it affects their kids. It affects their husbands, their spouses. And to hear the stories of how they're trying and making it work, how they're balancing those big things, makes you realize that we're all kind of the same. We might have different pressure points, but we're all the same when it comes to balancing everything. And that was my biggest takeaway. Besides being starstruck at meeting everybody in person, it was amazing. And, I really felt like I belonged at the table, which when I first joined, I thought, well, I'm way behind. I'm sure I belong at this table, but it was interesting to be there in person and actually have something to contribute and know that it was welcomed with open arms. And even though I was a little bit behind them, they were so thoughtful and grateful and very helpful to introduce things that they were now fully versed in. Things like Chat GPT. And I'm like, I had not even touched it. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's just a foreign concept to me. And they're like, no, it's really easy. Let me show you. And blah, 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 blah. And so we had late nights talking about things like that and things that worked for them, things that didn't work for them, photo shoots, that kind of, just talking about the big ticket items that you spend money on and what they found worked for them, what they found didn't work for them. And it made things a lot easier to kind of navigate coming home from that. I'm like, okay, now where does my money go? How do I want this photo shoot to look? How do I
Mhm.
want my online presence to look? Knowing that I had real life examples that were working. And they make it not, they made me, the ladies made me not afraid to tackle the next big thing.
Good. So,
Yeah, because they're tackling it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, that was the specialty days. It was a lot of fun. It
Oh,
was,
it was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. It's good to get a smaller group. It just, conversations are different, and you really get to
Yes.
brainstorm together and problem solve together. And
Yes.
yeah, exactly like what you said, share and learn from each other. Now, tell me a little bit about what happened for you in business in 2025. Like, how were sales? How were things? What did you focus on? What did you do? How did you grow? Tell me about that.
I focused on my social media presence because that was my big albatross. And so I really wanted to get better at that. And it's by no means perfect, but I'm a lot better at that. I had made the deal that I didn't care what kind of sales came, if any. I just wanted to focus on building the foundation blocks that I needed to make PBA and my business work to six figures. My goal always is for PBA for me is six figures, six figures, six figures. And it may take me years to do that. It doesn't matter. Six figures, six figures. And I really focused on, I had a kind of a wobbly time there about February, March, April. I was like, whoo, imposter syndrome, and just like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. Can I really do this? I don't know. And I remember coming to a call crying, and you guys are like, you got this. We've all been there. You got this. And you said you're famous and you have to say it a lot of it's going to take as long as it takes. It's going to take as long as it takes. Quit trying to control it. Quit trying to get this timeline. I got to be here, here, here. Just get out of there. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. And once I remembered that and worked through that, then it was clear sailing. And then it was just getting stuff paid for. I'm like, okay, my labels aren't going to be here till August because that's when I can pay for them. Okay, relax. Okay, okay. Kendra will be done with the branding in June because that's when I can pay for it. Okay, relax. There's nothing to worry about. And you know what? I just promised myself I wouldn't do markets. I canceled all my markets. And I just said, whatever happens, happens. And I had a beautiful Mother's Day season. I never really do, I do okay for Mother's Day, but it's never been a huge holiday for me. I had tons of business, mostly wholesale, but I did five or $6,000 in wholesale. I'm like, well, there you go. There you go. There's your first lesson right there. So that paid for Kendra and that paid for my labels to, most of the design work for that and to get down there. So I was like, I was all pumped. And I thought, okay, well, that'll carry me through the summer. And then the labels came right at the end of August into September. And people were ordering, my wholesale clients were ordering the last weekend of August for fall already. And so I didn't quite have my labels done, but they were going to be done by the time that it shipped. And so I was really excited and a little nervous that I hope they like them. And everybody loved them. And I had double and triple reorders in fall, which I never have. So I typically do in the fall. I do 6,000 between wholesale and then probably a couple thousand in retail, either a market or the pumpkin patch that I do. I usually do about 1,500 at the pumpkin patch, and this was my third year. And then my coffee stands and the couple of stores that I'm at. So I knew I would have a good fall, but I wasn't expecting double and triple orders. So that was nice, especially after 2024, because a lot of us didn't make a lot of money in 24 because 24 was just a hard year. That was an economic downturn, and just a lot of us didn't see some growth in 2024. So already I knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, you're going to go the same as 2024. You're going to be okay, whether you, even without markets, you're going to be fine. And my big concern was as long as my upgrades and my labels were paid for, that's all that mattered to me. And my trip down to Mastermind was going to be paid for. And so fall came, and I ended up doing $3,000 at the pumpkin patch. So I doubled my sales at the pumpkin patch. I ended up doubling my wholesale. for fall. So I did closer to instead of $4,000 or $5,000, I did, I think, just under nine this year. And then Christmas season came, and I did push for my Christmas, but I wasn't quite dialed in with like emails and that kind of thing, or gift boxes. I did a gift box at the last second because Jamie helped me. Jamie helped me get my website changed over, and that happened in September, end of September. And so Jamie was able to get my Shopify site up, and that is another lesson that it was amazing. And I'm so glad that I did that. And I managed to get 8 or 9 orders off my Shopify website in that couple months Christmas season, which for me was a boon compared to the $10,000 website that I'd had for 4 years, which had still less than 100 on it. And I'd spent 10 grand on it, and it was awful. And it was, learning lesson. So I was relieved to get that done. And that was more important to me. And then Christmas ended up, I started out really strong, and then the last 2 weeks got kind of quiet, which I didn't mind. It gave me another couple weeks, but I still ended up being at about, between everything, I still ended up having the same Christmas season that I've had the last 2 years, which is, it pushed me to, I think I ended the year at 23,000, which is just under 24 was, that was a little over. 24 was less than that. It was 20. So 23,000 for the year. Most of it's done in November, December.
Now, I know a couple things that we had talked about. One thing you mentioned was towards the end of the holiday season, or maybe the beginning of the holiday season, your supplier actually ran out of wax. So your
Yes,
goal was, let me just sell through everything that I currently have.
yes,
And didn't you get pretty close to completely
yes,
selling out?
yes, I did. And any candle maker who has to do taxes understands. We learned the hard way, and I learned it the first year. It's very easy to make candle after candle after candle. And if you've got a nice, big, beautiful studio with cubby holes in it, like mine that hold 40 candles in each cubby, it's fun to fill them up.
And make and
But
make and make.
and make and make and make. And that was one of the first lessons I learned in PBA. I'm like, wow, I'm doing this all wrong. And so, and the poor tax man, because you have to count that at the end of the year, you have to count everything on your shelf and you put it towards the next year. So on paper, in my mind and in real life, I've made a profit every year because candle makers make a good profit every year. But on paper, I made a loss every year because I had too much on the shelf. And the taxman's like, you you can't do this. And so it took me 2 years to get all those shelves down. In fact, when I rebranded to my second homemade label to the craft paper, I those were all 2021 candles that I did that. So 22 and 23, I sold 2021 candles because I had so many, and I had too many. There was a point in time where I had 72 or 73 cents. It was insanity. Insanity. So then I whittled it down to 40, and then I whittled it down to 20. And one of the first things we learned with you is to get that down. And I remember Kendra, who made it real easy for me because of the sheer expense of it. It's like, okay, well, we're doing 10. And I'm like, I didn't think I could do it. I was like, I've not been able to do this in the past. I don't see how I'm going to be able to do this now. But I did. And now that I've done it and I whittled down from 7 sizes to 3, I'm like, this is great. I ended up the season with 55 candles left on the shelf of the 3 that I whittled down to.
Wow.
Everything else I managed to sell or give away. I gave away some of them. I used some as samples, and I picked up some 3 or 4 different wholesalers this year in 2025 since my labels kicked in. They're small orders, but that's okay. They're initial orders, and I look forward to their reorders, which Fair Marketplace is going on right now. and for their spring market is going on today and tomorrow, and I'm really curious to see how I do there. We'll see if I have reorders and things like that.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah,
when I look at and hear the story that you're sharing with us here, when you say 2024 was around 20,000 and 2025 was around 24,000, the big takeaway I want you to know too is a lot of people were actually down in 2025. There were a lot of
yeah,
small business owners that were
yes,
down like 10%, 20%,
mhm,
30%. So the
yeah,
fact that you saw growth while you were in a massive up-leveling stage, like you were creating new foundations and you were growing. That is
yeah.
something so
I did not
incredibly,
think I could do it. I did not think I would do it at
that
all.
is something to
I
be so proud of.
Yeah, that was the amazing part. And I know candle makers, I know other craft makers and things that have just they're gone. They're like, you know what, I can't take it. It's been 4 years, it's been 5 years, I can't do it anymore. And they've closed up shop. And I'm like, no, 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 no. But at the same time, I get it. I totally understand. And if I had not found PBA, I know I would still be open because I'm just too resilient. But I would not be doing business right, and I would be on the verge of closing. The only thing it would be an open door with candles on the shelf sitting there. It would be stagnant. We'll put it that way because I cannot close the door. I cannot do it. Or the state would shut me down because they only let you go so long with making a loss. I mean, they just don't let you stay in business for 10 years making a loss. So I had that pressure of making it work so that the state of Washington doesn't shut me down because I show on paper a loss 5 years in a row. And so the tax man was really good about it in 24. He did tell me, because I told him I'd signed up for coaching, and I said, will they audit me or come after me? And he says, if you can prove that you're scaling and you're trying to scale, they will let that ride a couple more years. He says, you got a couple of years of grace. I said, okay.
Mhm.
So I'm very curious to see how my taxes will turn out this year, knowing I trimmed up my expenses. My expenses, I know, were cut in about half because I just would not let myself buy anything until I absolutely needed it. Having the wax shortage was a huge blessing. I laughed when I actually laughed out loud because I thought, this is God and the universe helping me to trim down and not have so much excess, and like bare minimum, this is them helping me and every other candle maker that needs to pivot or whatever and find a different way to do it. And I haven't heard of anyone closing because of the wax. And sure enough, wax is back. It's fine. It's there and there's no problem. It was just a weird, like a month long, 2 month long thing. And it was wild, but it was so good on me because I'm like, I got enough. I don't have to pour. I missed pouring, but at the same time, I'm like, what better way to have to do what you know is the right thing than to not be able to make them?
Yeah.
Sell what you got. Sell what you got.
And
Make
that's
a
what you
reel
did.
about how empty the shelves are.
I love it. So, what is business like for you now? Because when I hear this full story and hearing you feeling stuck online, feeling stuck with social media, feeling stuck, maybe not knowing where to turn to, how does business in general feel now? Are you having fun? Is it a joy? Is it like, what does it feel like?
I wake up every day um, thankful that I'm doing it. It's fun again. I've had it be fun since the labels came out. It's been Fun City because that was the biggest stress I had was okay, let's just get this over with and get this expense out, and then we'll do it. It's been so much fun. I feel like when I first started, I actually feel like I did start again, and it's just amazing. And even though I still have my full-time career, I love thinking about it. In the morning, I'm like, okay, I pick my 3 things that I want to think about today, and then I'll work on them throughout the day as I can, little bits. And I changed up how I do my socials a little bit. I do my socials. I had it in my head, stuck in my head, that you've got to post by 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, says who? So now I come home 3:30 in the afternoon. I open the door. And I'm like, what are we going to talk about today? And so I do it then, and then I post at night. And it's like amazing. It's the difference is amazing because I'm more relaxed. I'm more me. And it just is so much more fun. And the biggest takeaway I have in this business is there's so much more I want to do. Having the farm stand, selling baked goods, all this wild stuff that farm girls want to do. I want to do it. And now I'm like, let's do this. I can do candles and a farm stand. I can have baby goats. I'm all right with this. It gives me the confidence that instead of waiting for the 5 years until I'm retired, which is when I thought the farm stand could happen or the nursery or anything else I wanted to do, you do it now. It's all here. So your candles are here. They're doing good. So relax and do the farm stand. So that's what I'm focusing on now is opening up my little farm stand. And then next after that in the spring, I'm going to run a nursery just for like a month on the weekends, just bring enough plants in to see how they go. And I just see myself doing those little, they're not little, I always call them little things, but they're little things that were in the back of my mind for a long time. I thought, oh, one day when I'm retired and I have the time, that's when I'll focus on that. No, focus on it now. Do it now. Run the farm stand 3 months, then run the farm stand during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But my candles are year round, but I have certain seasons. So just, they're here. I'm talking about them. If people want them, you want them. I no longer get offended or take it personally if I go a couple months and don't hear from anybody. I'm used to it being a ghost town. And from January till May, it's usually pretty quiet. And already I have people, hey, I'm done with my winter candles. Can I come up and shop? Yep. So I have a lady coming this Saturday. I could fit her in. She's coming up. It's going to be a nice little visit. I'm excited. So people, they know to call. They know to say, hey, okay, where can we come up? Or hey, what's your website again? And so people know the website. People are ordering off Etsy. I've gotten 8 or 10 orders on Etsy. I'm going to turn my Etsy in for audit. I'm going to turn in my fair for audit through PBA so they can get looked at. So I know that they're as good as they can be. And then I'm going to relax on that and just let them work. And I'd like to branch into digital product. I'd like to branch into the farm stand and into nursery for a month or two and see how that goes. And I will always have candles. I built this knowing I was going to make candles and run this business until I didn't want to do it anymore, whether that be 80 years old or 85 or death or at retirement. If I hang it up and say, you know what, I'm done and I'm going to go travel, then I hand it off to somebody, but it's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I have a newfound joy for it. And now it just feels like life. It doesn't feel like the stressful part of life that you're trying to make work.
Mm.
I just understand that it's part of my life. It's working. And someday it'll work in the sales figures that I'd like to see.
Absolutely. It's
When
gonna,
it's fun.
and it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, you just keep showing up. And I keep getting messages here and there of people like seeing me be myself on camera. They're like, I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's just, I knew I had something. It's just being confident enough to let it show. Being so private, it's hard for me to just, hey, here I am. The fear of being visible has been the biggest takeaway this year. I love it. And now it's like, okay, well, what else? What else can we do? Um, and I'd like to, I don't know that I'd like to coach people. I don't know if I have that kind of personality, but I know this, I would like to be a cheerleader. I like being people's cheerleaders. That appeals to me.
Absolutely. Well, seeing you grow so much since I first met you in person, March of 2025, and obviously getting to know you on the Zoom calls before
Yeah.
then, but Theresa, seeing you grow so much, it's just amazing to see. And I'm so excited for your 2026. I can't wait to see everything that you do this year. I know it's just going to keep growing and growing exponentially. You've created this new foundation. You've put so much time and energy and love and passion and work into it. So, so excited for you, so proud of you. And thank you
Thank
for being here and sharing your story. Before we wrap up, share your Instagram and your website so people can follow you and learn more about your beautiful candles.
My website is www.farmgirlcandlecompany.com, and company all the way spelled out, not Candle Co., because there's a couple of us that run with the same name. And so it's Farm Girl Candle Company all the way spelled out.com. And same with Instagram, it is Farm Girl Candle Company. And
Amazing.
at Farm Girl Candle Company, and you will see me and my animals. And I try to do enough um, posts on there that you see my face, so you know it's me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll link that in the show notes so people can easily find you. Thank you so much for Teresa for sharing your story with us, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Product Biz Podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been just a dream come true. Never in my wildest dreams. So it's amazing. Thank you so much.